Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into what I like to call the wealth parable. It's the ultimate showdown, compounding versus lifestyle inflation. It's a question that honestly haunts almost everyone. Why is it that some people's paychecks seem to build absolute empires, while others just vanish into thin air? Well, today we're going to break down the math, the mindsets, and the actual strategies that separate the financially free from the forever indebted. Let's get right into it.
So think about this for a second. Is your salary kind of like a full moon? Like it shows up once a month, bright and full, but then slowly shrinks until just 15 days later, it is completely gone. It's a universal struggle, right? But here's the kicker. The moon always grows back. When our money's gone, though, we're left scraping the bottom of the barrel just trying to make it to the next month. But what if there was a way to flip the script? What if that money just kept growing and growing until it actually funded an early retirement?
To figure out how to actually pull that off, we're looking at a real-world scenario today. Meet Shaurya, Rishabh, and Akash. They're three friends, all engineers, who packed up and moved from Raipur to Mumbai. They started at the exact same starting line, bringing the exact same dreams of building wealth to the big city. But as you'll see, their vastly different financial priorities completely altered the entire trajectory of their lives.
Let's fast forward to age 23, and the contrast in their daily choices is pretty stark. On one hand, you've got Shaurya. He wanted that flashy Mumbai lifestyle, and he wanted it immediately. Even on a starter salary of 30,000 rupees, he's renting a premium apartment, hitting the parties, basically living large. Then you have Rishabh. Rishabh was absolutely fascinated by real estate. Instead of the city center, he chose to live way out in Old Panvel. We're talking surviving on 10 rupee vada paos and deep diving into property research while living on an extremely frugal budget.
Just 2 years later, at age 25, Shaurya gets a bump. His salary hits 50,000 rupees. Sounds great, right? But look at that massive 24,000 figure right there. That is exactly how much of his new income is instantly suffocated by fixed expenses. Between his premium rent and his crazy whim purchase of an 8 lakh rupee sedan, literally half of his income is wiped out before he even buys a single bag of groceries. This, my friends, is the classic lifestyle inflation trap.
Now, while Shaurya was busy paying off a car that loses value the second it leaves the lot, Rishabh was buying into his future. He did the math and realized Navi Mumbai was gearing up for a massive boom. So, in 2011, he actually managed to convince his pretty skeptical dad to invest 15 lakhs into a pre-construction property in Panvel. Well, 5 years later, that property doubled in value and started generating rent. By 2022, that fully developed property sold for roughly 90 lakhs. Rishabh basically gave a masterclass on leveraging the sheer power of real estate compounding.
Okay, which brings us to the ultimate plot twist. They're now 36 years old. Shaurya's earning a lakh a month, he's married, and decides, hey, it's finally time to buy my dream 3 BHK flat in Navi Mumbai. The price tag? 90 lakhs. He scrapes together 20 lakhs from his savings and takes on this absolutely crushing 70 lakh loan. But when he sits down to sign the final paperwork, Shaurya realizes the seller of this beautifully developed property is none other than his old friend Rishabh. No way, right? It hits hard. Warren Buffett famously said that if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you are going to work until your last breath. Rishabh, he took his profits, reinvested them, and now sits on 4 properties. At just 36, he can safely retire because his assets are doing the heavy lifting while he sleeps. Shaurya, on the other hand, was completely stunned to realize he had just locked himself into a 58,000 rupee monthly EMI for the next 20 years. Shaurya bought the illusion of wealth. Rishabh bought actual income-generating assets.
But hold on a second. What about our third guy, Akash? Obviously, real estate requires a ton of starting capital, which Akash just didn't have. So instead, Akash applied the 50-30-20 budgeting rule to his pretty modest 25,000 rupee IT salary. He allocated 50% strictly to his needs, 30% to his wants, and this is the absolutely crucial part, he locked in 20%. That was 5,000 rupees a month sent straight into investments. Every single month, no excuses.
Here is the exact blueprint of how Akash pulled this off. Step 1, he automated that 5,000 rupees into a Nifty 50 index fund SIP, which historically dishes out around a 10 to 12% return. Step 2, he knew his day job wasn't enough, so he built a side hustle. That freelance income stream eventually boosted his monthly take-home to over a lakh. Then, step 3, after 5 years, he took his grown SIP, rounded it off to a neat 1 lakh, and reinvested the whole shebang as a lump sum into a stock portfolio generating a 17% return.
Fast forward 10 years, and that grew into a very impressive 25 lakhs. Now, if you want to accelerate your path to early retirement, you have to look at what Akash did next. The 7-3-2 rule of compounding. Guys, this is literally mathematical magic. Assuming you consistently bump up your investment amount by 10% every year, it takes 7 long years to generate your first 50 lakhs. But because your interest is now earning its own interest, that next 50 lakhs, it only takes 3 years. And the 50 lakhs after that, just 2 years. The growth curve goes absolutely vertical.
Using this exact rule, Akash ran the numbers. He figured out that by investing 30,000 rupees a month from his now much higher income, he would hit a massive target of 1.5 crores in just 12 years. Let that sink in. That is a staggering 15 million rupees. On paper, this looked like the absolute perfect golden ticket to a stress-free early retirement. But, and there is always a but, here's the crucial point. Raw numbers can be incredibly deceiving. Akash was a smart guy, and he quickly realized he was forgetting the silent wealth killer: inflation. Over in India, the average inflation rate hovers right around 6%. It's totally invisible, but every single year, it is just quietly gnawing away at your purchasing power. And here is the shocking reality check. When Akash adjusted his future 1.5 crore for that 6% annual inflation over a 12-year horizon, its real actual purchasing power dropped to just 41 lakh rupees. Just think about that for a second. What sounds like a literal fortune today will only buy you 41 lakhs worth of goods a decade from now. It was nowhere near enough money for him to actually retire securely.
Did Akash panic? Absolutely not. He just course-corrected. He immediately adjusted his target to a real inflation-proof 1 crore. To actually hit that, he realized 30,000 a month just wasn't going to cut it anymore. So he aggressively bumped his monthly SIP up to 50,000 rupees out of his new 1.2 lakh income. And here's the beautiful part. Because he had kept his lifestyle expenses so low, unlike our guy Shaurya, he could comfortably afford to do this. This one move ensured his goal of realistic financial freedom in 12 years remained 100% intact.
Ultimately, this whole parable boils down to 2 entirely different mindsets. On the left, you've got the middle-class mindset. This one relies heavily on loans and EMIs. We're talking about having a shopping list totally planned out before the paycheck even hits the bank account. That's Shaurya, right? And now he's trapped, working for 2 more decades just to pay off a depreciating asset. But on the right, you have the rich mindset. This mindset relies on compounding. It's about building multiple income streams and focusing relentlessly on asset building. That is exactly what allowed guys like Rishabh and Akash to achieve ultimate financial freedom while they were still in their 30s. So I'll leave you with this. Are you going to spend the next 20 years of your life working just to pay off an EMI, stressing out about every single paycheck? Or will you take the path of discipline, live just slightly below your means today, and let the sheer mathematical power of compounding work for you? Look, the starting line might be exactly the same for a lot of us, but the choices you make with your very next paycheck, that's what will ultimately decide your finish line. Think about it.